So, now that we're out of the 2010s, it's time to look forward to the 2020s. A lot is shaping up to change in this decade, and there's pretty much an infinite amount of ways that this decade can go in. So today, we'll look at 20 predictions I have for NASCAR for the 2020s. Remember that this is just opinion. It doesn't mean this stuff is going to happen. Don't take it to heart. It's not a guarantee. And know that I may very well be completely wrong about every one of these things. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Firstly, I think that NASCAR's new tiered sponsorship program they have in replacement for one series sponsor is actually a really smart move, and I think that it's going to benefit them in the long term. Having less of a financial weight to carry on the brands should make it easier on them to support the sport as well as possibly support teams. And it makes it a lot better to look at for people who might want to come into the sport, different sponsors that currently aren't here that we may attract to it. While the sponsorship dollars up front and center should at the very least stabilize, I don't think this is going to help the ones in the back of the pack for the Cup Series at least. I think in the midst of introducing a brand new car and a brand new engine, all of this stuff from scratch that the teams have to pay, I think that this is just going to be something that is bad for the smaller teams, and I think it's going to lead to the field being cut down from 40 cars to 36. While this goes on, I do think that NASCAR's TV ratings and attendance numbers are still going to go down a little bit at the start of the 2020s. Even last year, with so many races gaining, the end of the year had a horrible tumble and everything just sort of fell apart there. And I think it's going to lead into 2020. There's still a little bit to go before the inevitable stabilization that I think we're going to see in the 2020s. One aspect of NASCAR that will see real gains for popularity, in my opinion, is iRacing, though. With the cultural relevance of esports as a whole skyrocketing right now, NASCAR has a golden opportunity to gain a new and younger fan base. By 2030, it could be realistic to see them right up with ARCA or the Truck Series in viewership if marketed correctly. Speaking of a growing audience, I think the 2020s will open up a lot more for the Pinty series in America. While popular up in Canada, this series is yet to hit it big in the United States. I think there's a good chance that this changes this year, as this series is primarily made up of short tracks and road courses, something that all racing fans like. And it puts on a great show. So the Pinty series looks like, in my opinion, is going to really take off in America this decade. Back in the States, I think we're going to see a change to the playoff system by 2030. There have been major holes in the system shown, with a winless Ryan Newman competing in 2014, Kyle Busch missing a third of the season and winning the championship in 2015, as well as Matt Crafton winning the Truck Series championship this year without winning a race. While I don't think we're going to see a wholesale change to something completely brand new, I do think some major changes will probably be made. What they are, I don't know. But I think that it's pretty realistic to say that in the next 10 years, some changes will be made. I think also in this decade, NASCAR is going to have a huge surge in their online presence. From live streaming to different personalities to live programming for other things, I think that on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Reddit, whatever you may be on, I think that you're going to see a more prominent NASCAR presence on there and a real effort to make these things work. I think this, as well as a slowing down of radical changes, is going to help NASCAR stabilize really for the first time since about 2003. With this stabilization by 2030, I think we'll see a much more clear picture of NASCAR's true identity, both this decade as well as the future decades moving forward. Furthermore, part of this will come from the top. I think that NASCAR's leadership is going to be a lot more open to the general public as well as the media as the years go on. We've already seen this in the garage area with guys like Jim France and Steve Phelps right now, how they talk to different people, whether it be fans, drivers, team members, you name it. With this, I think we can have a little bit of a mini return to roots as they listen to different people. Now, I don't think we're going to be going back to North Wilkesboro or really even resurrecting the Rock, but I could see us going to short tracks more, especially in lower series, but even more in the Cup Series. This and going to tracks that maybe are older and that NASCARs went past, but they can bring back something like Nashville, for instance. That's still alive. So I don't think we're going to see a full-blown throwback to the Winston Cup days, full season point, stuff like that. But I think there's going to be efforts to sort of connect the past to the present. A large and bold prediction that I also have is I think ISC and SMI are going to fall under NASCAR's umbrella, possibly even merge in this. And I think that this is going to give NASCAR full reign over whatever they want to do with the schedule. For instance, while I'm personally against this, I do think NASCAR is going to explore midweek races and see what it can do for TV and at-track viewership. Also, I think we're going to see way more than one or two double headers between NASCAR and IndyCar in this decade. And it might be loaded into the back of the decade, but we're going to see it. The modern racing fan right now is becoming more and more open to different series. It's not like how it used to be, where you have just singular IndyCar fans, singular NASCAR fans, F1, and any other, motocross, you name it. I think that we're going to see a racing fan's dream this decade of NASCAR and IndyCar sharing the track on the same weekend in the same garage areas, and I think it's going to be something to behold. Another major schedule change that I think is going to happen is I think the schedule, especially for Cup, is going to end somewhere between late September and mid-October or so in the next few years. There's already been talk about it in the garage area a little bit, and little rumors here and there sprinkled in the media, so there has to be some kind of truth. It might not happen, but I think this is going to happen in order to avoid a lot of the NFL threat towards the end of the year when the championship is going on, as well as avoiding baseball's playoffs. There is overlap with these sports, and you can see the TV ratings dip when they overlap. So I think NASCAR, being a lot smarter than they were beforehand, I think is really going to try and be proactive with this. And I think you're going to see these earlier finales and a longer off season, hyping us up for the next season even more. With this and the rumored shifting of the finale idea with different tracks hosting it each year, I do think that Daytona is going to be the finale. And I think it's going to be more than just 1 year. It's the ultimate wildcard race for the ultimate wildcard championship. Imagine the top 4 drivers racing for the win at a plate track. Anything could happen. You don't know who is going to win the championship until they enter the tri-oval on the final lap. Also, I think the NASCAR world is going to be shocked a little bit by the manufacturers. Honda is probably going to jump in around 2022, 2023 when they introduce the new engine. Also, I think that with the increased spending that a lot of the manufacturers are putting forth, I think that Chevrolet is going to either scale back on a few teams or outright dump some teams and only focus on main ones, similar to what Toyota does. And with that is going to limit some of its support in NASCAR, which is a bit shocking for a lot of longtime fans. I also think that after the current contract ends in 2024, NASCAR is going to reunite with an old partner for broadcasting, either ESPN or CBS Sports. More than likely, it's probably going to be replacing Fox, too. As for individual drivers, I have 3 predictions for individual drivers, and they're my last 3 predictions. Firstly, I think that Hailie Deegan is going to become the first woman in NASCAR history to win a nationally touring series race. Whether it be the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, or even Cup someday, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be. But I do think that she has the support and talent to do so. Secondly, Chase Elliott will be the first most popular driver in the Cup Series to win a Cup championship since his father, Bill Elliott, did in 1988. Again, don't know which year. It could be 2020. It could be 2029. But I think Elliott, again, has the support, has the talent, and has the time to do this. And lastly, and not least, I think that Kyle Rowdy Busch will surpass Dale Earnhardt in career wins. He will surpass the 76 win mark. But I do think that it is going to be a lot closer as the current hyper-elite level that he's on right now of winning 5 to 8 races a year. It's not sustainable for a very long time. Not many drivers in the modern era have been able to do it, and I don't think that Kyle Busch is the exception. So, that's my 20 predictions for the 20s. I get that some of them are a bit out there. I get that some of them probably won't happen, but I figure I might as well go out there with them. I don't really want to toe the line, and I don't want to say the same stuff everyone else is, so if you have a problem with it, so be it. Say it in the comments, and I'm going to pass it to you. What do you think of my predictions? Let me know about each individual one, and also, what are your predictions? Do you have some that are more wild than mine? I want to hear them. because maybe it's something that I hadn't thought of. So let me know down below. Leave a like, subscribe for more great NASCAR content, and until next time, have a good one.